So today we're going to be doing a Blu-ray and DVD update video, this time for November 2024. So let's begin with the Blu-rays as usual. First up is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which I've already done an unboxing video of, so you can check that out. But overall, pretty good film. Not as good as the other Planet of the Apes films, but quite enjoyed it. Got this on day release in Asda for £15, so yeah, I thought it was quite good for the actors and the generations in the future following Caesar's reign. Apes are living harmoniously as the dominant species, and humans are living in the shadows. So yeah, I thought, yeah, it was an okay kind of film. My favourite, I don't know what to say my favourite might be, but yeah, I think maybe I'll probably rewatch all the Planet of the Apes films and maybe do a collection video, which might probably help. So anyways, that is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, definitely recommend. Next up is Bob Marley, One Love, which I quite enjoyed. There's quite a few songs I enjoyed of Bob Marley. First he changed the music, then he changed the world. Very interesting documentary movie that I quite enjoyed. This movie was set around Bob Marley's life before he died, and how Bob Marley became a musician, a Jamaican singer. So yeah, quite an interesting film. Talking about Bob Marley, and the music in the film was pretty good, especially the song One Love itself. Is This Love? And yeah, some very interesting songs, and definitely would recommend this film. Very much enjoyed it. So that is Bob Marley, One Love. Next up is The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which I'd say I quite enjoyed. This film, mainly for the soundtrack in this, that I quite enjoyed. Yeah, the actors and were interesting. I wasn't sure whether to pick this up, but I'm glad I did to complete the Hunger Games collection, and I thought it was quite alright for what it was. So yeah. Not as good as the other Hunger Games films, but just as entertaining. So yeah, that is The Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes. Next up, we have a couple of the G.I. Joe films. So we have G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra, G.I. Joe Retaliation, and the G.I. Joe Origins Snake Eyes. So let's get into The Rise of Cobra, which is quite an interesting film. Very good acting in this film. This film really does deliver, and yeah, it was definitely a very interesting film, especially with the Christopher Eccleston being in this film. That was quite interesting. So yeah, I thought it was quite good to watch. So yeah, definitely recommend it. G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra. And then we have Retaliation, which isn't as good as The Rise of Cobra, but still quite good. With the actors Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock, and Bruce Willis from the Fast and Furious films, and no, not Fast and the Furious, Die Hard. That's it. I'm thinking about something else. So yeah. Quite interesting movie. Again, not as good as the first movie, but it was alright, I suppose. So that is G.I. Joe Retaliation. And then we have the Snake Eyes, the G.I. Joe Origins. To be fair, it isn't that good, but I guess it was worth watching. I'd say this is more of a spin-off to the G.I. Joe series movies. But yeah. I thought it was an alright film. Kind of average film, in my opinion. It is a film that I wasn't really interested in until I listened to the soundtrack. This is Pokemon Detective Pikachu, starring Ryan Reynolds, I believe, playing Pikachu. So yeah, this also includes the detective mode. Now I thought the overall film was quite interesting. Even though I'm not a Pokemon kind of guy, I thought it was pretty good overall. Like I said earlier, the soundtrack, the acting with Ryan Reynolds is amazing, and yeah, I thought it was quite good. So yeah, it also contains the detective mode, like I said, my Pokemon adventure, creating the world of Detective Pikachu featurettes, and lots of other things you could think about there. So yeah, it's just a single disc. So yeah, fun fact, she actually played the singer Rita Ora in this, and she was in the music video Carry On with Kygo, which is the main reason I picked that up. But yeah, overall quite an interesting movie, so I highly recommend Pokemon Detective Pikachu. Next up is a Blu-ray that I picked up for only 70p from this place called the Deal Maker. This is The Festival. Now I'm glad I picked this up for 70p because it's a really funny comedy movie. It's from the creators of The Inbetweeners, Joe Thomas, of course, who plays Simon from The Inbetweeners, if you don't know by now. So yeah, a very funny comedy movie. It's where Nick, who plays Joe Thomas, and Shane has the perfect solution. 3 days at an epic festival where Shane wanted to go see his favourite band, DJ, Hammerhead. Yeah, a very funny comedy movie. Definitely recommend it. And Nick Frost was also good in this film, so yeah, if you're looking for a comedy movie, this is definitely one for you. So that is The Festival. And sticking with the theme of comedy films, here's one starring John Cena, which is the main reason I picked this up, and that is Blockers, which I thought, again, a very funny movie. I thought it was alright. So yeah, definitely a watch for John Cena. And yeah, it's from the producers of Bad Neighbours and This Is the End. So yeah, anything John Cena, you know, I'd probably buy, I would get anyway. So yeah, highly recommend Blockers. Quite an interesting comedy film just for John Cena. Next up is American Made, based on a true life. I picked this up because it starred Tom Cruise, and I thought it was alright for what it was. It's basically based on where he reunites with his Edge of Tomorrow director, Doug Liman, where it's based on an incredible true story of the CIA's biggest secrets. So I thought it was quite interesting. Not my favourite Tom Cruise movie, but I thought it was alright. So that is American Made. And finally, for the Blu-rays, we have Black Hawk Down, directed by Ridley Scott. Which I picked this up because it was like for two for £5 Blu-ray, I believe. Or was it 2 for £8? I went into this shop. I forgot what it was now, but yeah, we have to get 2 Blu-rays for £8, so I just did that. So I brought American Made and I brought Black Hawk Down because of the director Ridley Scott from Gladiator. So yeah, I thought it was alright, nothing special, but it was interesting, I guess. So anyways, that's Black Hawk Down. Let's move on to the DVDs. Moving on to the DVDs, we have Cocktail starring Tom Cruise. Classic movie. Again, another Tom Cruise film I have in this update. Tom Cruise, of course, from Jerry Maguire, Mission Impossible 2 and Top Gun, is electrifying as Brian Flanagan, who, yeah, basically it's this guy where Tom Cruise's character works at this bar named Cocktail. So yeah, I thought it was a classic movie. Not much to say about this, but I thought it was alright, to be quite honest. So anyways, that's Cocktail. Next up is Apocalypse Now Redux, presented by Francis Ford Coppola. and starring Harrison Ford. So yeah, I've always been wanting to watch this film for quite a bit. But to be fair, it's a very long movie. And I kind of think it was a neutral kind of film. It's not my favourite. And probably nothing I'd watch again. However, it was quite alright for what it was. Yeah. But there's nothing too much going on for this movie. It just dragged on a little bit. So yeah. Anyways, that's Apocalypse Now. Next up is Demolition Man, starring Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes. I thought it was alright as well. Any Stallone film I'll just pick up. So yeah, basically the Stallone and Snipes go at it amid a dazzling cyber future in this explosive hit, which is set in 2032. An arch criminal awakens from a 35-year deep freeze in Cairo prison to find a serene. So yeah, not much to say about this movie, but I thought it was alright. So anyways, that's Demolition Man. Next we have a couple of Quentin Tarantino movies, starting off with From Dusk Till Dawn, which actually stars Quentin Tarantino. This isn't directed, this stars, but yeah. And I thought it was quite a good film. This is a 2-disc edition, so we have disc 1, the movie, and disc 2, the Full Tilt Boogie. So yeah, just an interesting film. With Quentin Tarantino and George Clooney in this. Yeah, I'd say this is more of a horror movie. I wouldn't say sign of horror miscellaneous, whatever you like to call it, but I thought it was a classic film. So anyways, I probably wouldn't buy the sequels though, just probably wouldn't bother, but I thought From Dusk Till Dawn was alright, so highly recommend. Next up is Death Proof, the 5th film by Quentin Tarantino. Crash Course in Revenge. Again, very interesting movie. The actors in the film were great, and yeah, this is exhilarating Tarantino at his blistering best. Male fantasy made flesh, and yeah, I quite enjoyed Death Proof. Very interesting movie. So yeah, that is Death Proof. Next up is Jason Statham in Blitz, which is one of the films I was missing from the Jason Statham collection. And I thought it was quite interesting. Basically, comprising an utterly un-PC cop, Brand, who plays obviously Jason Statham, is teamed up with an unlikely partner in his Sergeant Porter Nash, which plays Paddy Considine, as they hunt down Vigilante cop killer Barry Weiss. So yeah, I thought it was quite interesting. Not as good as Crank, but I thought it was alright. So anyways, that's Blitz. Next up is 8 Mile, starring Eminem, which I used to have this film for ages, but then got rid of it because I just never liked it. At first, I thought it was rubbish, but rewatching this again, I didn't even know this starred Eminem until I heard of the song "Lose Yourself," and since then I've always wanted to watch this film, relive this film again. And to be fair, it was quite interesting because the rapper Eminem. There's some very good songs on here, and there's also special features of the music used in the film 8 Mile. So yeah, quite an interesting movie to check out. So yeah, I'd highly recommend 8 Mile. So yeah, a very interesting film if you're looking for Eminem. Next is Michael Jackson's This Is It, Discover the Man You Never Knew, which this was actually I didn't even know this film came out until I saw this in CEX for only £1. And overall, I quite enjoyed it, mainly for the Michael Jackson music, because I do like some of his songs. I might get some of his vinyls as well. So if I do that, if you see my videos, you might see some Michael Jackson vinyls if I do have them. But anyways, this film was made not long before Michael Jackson died in 2009. So yeah, I quite liked in this film the music, including Billie Jean, Thriller, and that kind of stuff. And this was set in London's O2 Arena, and I thought quite an interesting movie to watch for Michael Jackson. Great to see Michael Jackson having a documentary film. So yeah, if you're looking for if you're Michael Jackson fans, then this is the film for you. Would highly recommend. So that is Michael Jackson's This Is It. Next up, we have a couple of Eddie Murphy films, the first of which is Dreamgirls, which I saw for 30p in the Dealmaker around the same time I brought the festival. So yeah, I thought, because it was cheap and I've been wanting to watch this, I thought I'd buy it. So yeah, although years ago I wasn't thinking of buying this film, but I've been looking up Eddie Murphy films and I do quite like him as an actor, so I thought I'd just get as many films as I can. So yeah, I thought overall Dreamgirls was a very interesting movie. Even though I'm not a musical kind of guy, I thought this was definitely worth watching, especially for Eddie Murphy. And yeah, I just thought it was an interesting musical film, I guess you can say. So that is Dreamgirls. Next up is the Coming to America movie. So we have Coming to America, the original, and Coming to America. Yeah, it might get confusing. Unless you can say Coming to America 1 or Coming to America 2. That might, you know. Anyways, the first film's definitely better than the second one, even though I do quite like the second one, but I guess they're just as good as each other. But I think the first one's definitely a classic for sure. Basically, where where Eddie Murphy is an African prince. So yeah, I thought classic movies would highly recommend. So that is Coming to America 1 and 2. Next is Old School, starring Luke Wilson, Will Ferrell, and Vince Vaughn. The Unseen. Overall, quite an interesting comedy movie, where it's basically get ready for the unseen and out-of-control version of Old School. What's a guy supposed to do when he catches the early flight home and finds his girlfriend in a bed with a room full of naked strangers? Return to college and start a fraternity, if I'm pronouncing that right. So yeah, quite an interesting comedy movie, and I thought it was alright for what it was. So that's Old School. Adam Sandler comedy movie, Funny People. Now, I thought it was alright. Again, I mean, not my favourite Adam Sandler movie, but there's not much to say about this, to be quite honest. This is a 2-disc edition, but yeah, I thought it was alright for what it was, even though I don't know what to say about this film. No, I just thought it was alright for Adam Sandler. So anyways, that's Funny People. Another comedy movie which I actually quite liked, The Wedding Ringer, starring Kaylee Cuoco, the actress who plays Penny from The Big Bang, which is the reason why I brought this film. Now, I thought it was an interesting comedy movie. Not great, but still very good. But basically where this character, Doug, who plays Josh Gad, is the lovable but socially awkward groom to be with a problem. He has no best man, so with less than 2 weeks to go until he marries the girl of his dreams, Kaylee Cuoco, who played in this movie Gretchen. Doug is referred to Jimmy, who plays Kevin Hart, and is the owner and CEO of Best Man Incorporated. So yeah, overall I thought it was a very good comedy movie. Not great, but definitely watchable, so that is The Wedding Ringer. Next up we have a couple of animated kids films, so first of which is Inside Out 2. Now I was going to go see this in the cinema, but unfortunately never got round to doing, so yeah. But I thought it was okay. Not as good as the first one, but it was quite interesting to watch. You had these, we introduced two new characters. I think it was a few more characters in this film. So you got joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust. And now you have anxiety, the one of the new characters. It's where Riley is now a teenager in this movie. I think she was still a teenager in the first film, but yeah. Inside Out 2, definitely worth watching, even though the first one's better. But this one's watchable. So anyways, that's Inside Out 2. Next is Despicable Me 4, which I went to go see this in the cinema. And overall, I thought it was actually better than the Minions and Despicable Me 3. I don't know if I'd say it's better than the first or second movie. Well, I thought it was actually quite good. The music in this film was very interesting. And it was basically where in the fourth movie they moved house because of this villain right here. Anti-Villain League returns for a bold new era of minions in Illumination's Despicable Me 4. And you've got Gru Jr. as one of the new characters. And yeah, I thought overall Despicable Me 4 was quite interesting, especially with the comebacks of all the old villains in the Minions films and the other Despicable Me films. So quite an interesting movie. So that is Despicable Me 4. Next up is South Park, not suitable for children, special events, just one of the other one-off specials. Cred, which is basically just Prime bottles. After it's discovered that a teacher at South Park Elementary has an OnlyFans page, Randy is compelled to take a closer look at the seedy underbelly of the world of online influencers. So yeah, I thought it was an interesting special just for the Cred bottles, and yeah, not much to say. Quite an interesting little special there. So that is South Park, not super for children. Next up is Paddy McGuinness Saturday Night Live Tour 2011, which was one of the live stand-ups I was missing. Obviously, Paddy McGuinness, you probably know him for Max and Paddy, Take Me Out, and Top Gear. So, this is filmed in a Manchester Man Arena. Paddy's hilarious new stand-up show is laugh out loud and funny, and he delivers his own cheeky trademark style. So yeah, that is Paddy McGuinness Saturday Night Live Tour. And finally, for this update and last DVD I have, is Doctor Who Season 1, which I won't be discussing too much about because I've already did an unboxing of this when this was first released. But overall, what I will say, I thought it was quite an interesting season. Definitely got some great episodes on here, and some interesting special features you've got here, with the, what was it, special features on here? It might say on the episode booklet. So yeah, very good episodes. The Church on Ruby Road, 73 Yards, Space Babies, and The Legend of Ruby Sunday and Empire of Death, the two-parter, was one of my favourites. And then the Unleashed episodes were quite interesting. So yeah, if you're looking for a season like this, for all you Doctor Who fans. This is definitely a very good season, and highly recommend you watch this if you haven't already, which I'm pretty sure every Doctor Who fan in the world already has. So you can check out my unboxing video of this. I'll probably put an annotation somewhere on screen so you can check that out. And that is going to do it for my November Blu-ray and DVD update video. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like down below. Let me know in the comments, is there any good titles you've seen in this video that you like? And I will see you next time for another video.